invariably, Sunday Morning with Sage becomes something different. But I have been thinking so much about mental health this week that I just feel like I really, really want to talk about mental health because it's been really on my mind, and I'm beginning to think it's the secret to the universe. Mental health. Like, I feel like a lot of times we are answering a question that we don't know the question. We have the answer for something we don't know what the question is. And I sort of think that the question is in the muck of mental health. That we are suffering in some sort of vague, strange way that we can't really put our finger on. But then we're like, the answer is this. The answer is stop eating so much. The answer is exercise. The answer is find God. The answer is quit drinking. The answer is quit drugs. Which is like, it's cool because we're all in this area of like, I don't feel right. There's something wrong. I sense something's wrong. And so we can't really put our finger on the thing that is wrong. And so when people come by, or, like Tony Robbins, I don't know if you guys watch Tony Robbins. He's like this inspirational speaker guy, and he's going to tell you how to, have the life that you really want. And so we all kind of like find these different things, it's self-help. And they, in my mind, they all become self-help. Like, drugs are self-help, alcohol is self-help, Tony Robbins, Jesus, exercise. They're all trying to get to the same point of, I don't feel right. I feel weird. And so we just go searching for something. And that's cool because, I guess it's better to search for something than to just be like, I don't know. I'm just going to sit around. Tony Robbins doesn't feel right to me. Jesus doesn't feel right to me. Alcohol and drugs don't feel right to me. These aren't, in a way, that becomes antidepressants are a self-help. Yeah, Dale, like, I'm on those. Like, in a way, a person that just ends up just watching YouTube all day becomes a little bit more enlightened than all of us that are running around searching for something that we don't even know what we're searching for. But like a person that is just slightly more enlightened is like, I can tell you right now, all those things suck. They all suck. Drugs suck, alcohol sucks, Jesus sucks, antidepressants suck, exercise sucks, it all sucks. I don't need to try all of them for me to tell you you're going to get to the end of those things and you're going to end up right here on the couch with me watching Netflix. And that person has a point. Have you ever had the opportunity, and if you haven't, I'm sorry, it reminds me, I went on an all-inclusive vacation. And like, I've never been on a cruise. Now I don't know if I'll ever get on a cruise because Rocky's like, are you kidding me? They already had Norwalk virus on that thing. Now it's just a breeding cesspool for coronavirus. I probably will die never going on a cruise unless I go by myself. Although I'm a very Persuasive individual. I can just beg and plead. Please, Rocky, let's go on a cruise. She's like, I don't wanna. Come on. And I'll just do it. I'll wear her down. But anyways, we did go on an all-inclusive vacation in Punta Cana. Punta Cana. It's on the island of, what is that? Dominican Republic and Haiti, I think. And we did like 7 days. And it's amazing because you're on the ocean, you have free drinks, you have a pool, you have endless kinds of food, you have fancy food, easy food, snacks. It's just constant. It's constant. And I am here to tell you, after about 5 or 6 days of it, you're over it. You're over it. You're just like, I guess I'll have the lobster today. I don't know. Maybe I'll have the filet mignon. I don't even know. I had the filet mignon for breakfast yesterday. I mean, I'm kind of tired of it. Maybe I'll just have a sundae. You know, like you literally get tired of having everything you want. You literally get tired of it. Did you guys watch the show The Good Place? Spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you what happens at The Good Place. They all end up in heaven and they all end up killing themselves. Basically. Kimberly, we are all the direct result of our previous generation's mental health. Nice. It's a huge snowball that keeps building and building and building. If we don't get help with our mental health, the snowball just keeps growing and passing down to our children. Our mental health passes on to their heirs. However, until mental health is addressed within the healthcare, most cannot afford to go. Kimberly, nicely said, Kimberly. Nicely said. I believe the question we're trying to answer is, how can I make my brain happy? How can I make my brain happy? Or not hurting? Or engaged or interested? What is going on in my brain, which I think Kimberly is 100% right, is oftentimes genetic and hereditary and passed down for generations. How can I get the thing that's in my head to stop being in my head? How can I make that pain go away? How can I make that depression go away? How can I make that apathy go away? How can I make whatever it is? It's usually bad. The thing that's in my head, how can I make it stop feeling this way? And I'm at a point now where I believe we are all on a journey of solving mental health issues. 100% of us. They're different mental health issues, and the DSM, or whatever we're on now, what is that called? What's DSM stand for? I should know. DSM. It's the American Psychiatric Diagnostic and Statistic Manual. You check it out. We're at now apparently DSM-5, the 5th edition, apparently. I guess. They're all in here. You can go in here and you can find all the mental health issues. Here, let's see some of the most recently proposed changes. Addition of a new diagnosis, prolonged grief disorder. Okay? And for an intelligent person, Dale, it's hard. Thank you, bro. Because you already know, Dale, I don't have to tell you, I bet, that these things are impermanent. These things are temporary. All the things that promise us happiness and satisfaction are all a lie. They're all a lie. And an intelligent person knows this. Kimberly says, I'm not just talking about genetics, I'm talking about ending cycles. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Of cycles of generations of abuse, mental and physical. You can oftentimes see it. Your dad is like your grandfather, and you become like your dad and grandfather, and your mom is like your grandmother, and you become like your mom and your grandmother, you know? Let's see this one here. I want to see what this is. Addition of a new diagnosis, prolonged grief disorder. Proposed was received to modify the criteria of persistent complex bereavement disorder, currently in Section 3, under conditions for further study. Anyways, so they want to add proposed diagnostic criteria, prolonged grief disorder, the death of a person close to the bereaved at least 12 months previously. I think I know somebody like this, actually. Becky, yeah, grandma's experience leaves a mark on your genes. Wow, that's a good find, Becky. Since the death, there has been a grief response characterized by intense yearning and longing for the deceased person or a preoccupation with thoughts or memories of the deceased person. This response has been present to a clinically significant degree nearly every day for at least the last month. See, they just keep adding these things. They just keep adding these new findings of diagnostic mental health issues. So they want to get in the new proposed diagnostic criteria of prolonged grief disorder. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and you can go through there and see all the different ways that psychologists are cataloging people and telling you, yeah, you know what, that counts. That's a legitimate mental health issue. It's very interesting what's going on. You know, you can even submit proposals. Submit proposals for making changes to the DSM-5. You can write in and be like, I got this thing. I don't know if you have to be qualified. I don't know. There's code changes, updates to criteria and text. You can just run through this and just find all the mental health issues we have. And I feel like this is the question. You can't find the answer without the question. And the question in my mind is, what's the matter with me? What is wrong with me? Why do I feel like a piece of crap? Why am I lazy? Why am I depressed? Why can't I get out of bed? Do you know, this morning, I'm on a diet. I am so close to my goal. I started this year at 240 pounds. I'm trying to get to 200, okay? I'm 6'2" or so, 200 pounds. I still have a gut that I'm not happy with, but yesterday I was at 202.4, okay? I'm this close. I got on the scale today, 204 pounds. I just went back to bed. I'm just like, this is unbelievable. Am I never going to get to 200? I had salty things yesterday. It was probably just water retention, but I just couldn't. I got up at 6:30. I just went back to bed. I didn't even sleep. I just listened to the birds, kept my eyes closed, and I eventually got up at about 7:38. But, there it is. I'm just like, is this how I have to start my Sunday? 204 pounds? Really? Now I'm 4 pounds away? Am I just going to blow back up to 240 pounds? I just started awfulizing. Stop feeling and thinking you can't and turn all that into I can in any way possible. You're right. Drugs definitely suck. I'm 14 months clean and 5 years on and off of meth. Thank you for saying this, Tiffany. This is really powerful. And in that time, I talked through my mental health issues and it helped beat the addiction. I've accomplished so much in this short amount of time, and in some parts, a great deal of thanks to you and those tents. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Tiffany, for saying that. Be honest, when talking about the issues of your mental health, it's not easy, but it can be overcome. It may never fully go away, but it will ease. A lot of mine had come from my past because of my parents, which was talked about earlier, and things from my childhood, but I found a way to push forward and fix what I could in my thoughts, and it helped change the way I think today. Even you talking things out on Sundays helps others. So, okay, so you see, Tiffany, and I should say I am not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I am just a human being. And so do not take anything I say like some sort of scientific thing. I'm just talking as a human being. Okay? I'm trying not to say anything hurtful, of course, but I might be saying things inaccurately, but it would only be because I am ignorant in true psychology and therapy. But anyways, I think I have a right to talk about these issues because I am a human experiencing them. Anyways, so Tiffany feels like talking about these issues helps. And I think she's right. I personally think actually that sometimes it doesn't hurt, it doesn't make you feel good right away. It can actually make you feel worse initially talking about the issues. But I think and maybe I can't say that this is how it is for everyone, but I think that there can be a feeling that the general consensus seems to be that when you talk through your feelings, they get a little better. I think. And Tiffany, I feel that way. That's why I'm talking about it today. And Tiffany seems to corroborate that. Yes, let's give Tiffany some hearts and thumbs up for sure. Now, Tiffany comes up with a thing, Tiffany reminds me of a great SNL skit. She starts out her comment saying, Stop feeling and thinking you can't and turn all that into any way possible. Do you remember that Bob Newhart Just Stop skit? Let's see if I can show you. Bob Newhart, Just Stop It. Yeah. So let me show you this. Okay, watch this. Hold on.
Dr. Switzer?
Yes, come in. I'm just washing my hands.
I'm Catherine Bigman. Janet Carlisle referred me.
Oh, yes.
So this is Bob Newhart.
Yes, that's me. Should I lay down?
Oh, no, we don't do that anymore. Just have a seat. And let me tell you a bit about our billing. I charge $5 for the first.
We're not going to watch the whole thing.
And then absolutely nothing after that. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Too good to be true, as a matter of fact.
Well, I can almost guarantee you that our session won't last the full 5 minutes. Now, we don't do any insurance billing, so you would either have to pay in cash or by check.
Wow, okay.
And I don't make change.
All right.
And go.
Go.
Well, tell
What?
me about the problem that you wish to address.
Oh, okay. Well, I have this fear of being buried alive in a box. I start thinking about being buried alive and I begin to panic.
Has anyone ever tried to bury you alive in a box?
No, but truly thinking about it does make my life horrible. I mean, I can't go through tunnels or be in an elevator or in a house, anything boxy.
So what you're saying is you're claustrophobic.
Yes, that's it.
All right, well, let's go, Catherine. I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. Then I want you to take them out of the office with you and incorporate them into your life.
Well, shall I write them down?
Well, if it makes you comfortable, it's just 2 words. We find most people can remember them.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here they are.
Stop it!
And that's the whole skit. Bob Newhart just yelling at this poor woman to stop it. I don't know why, but that skit always amused me. I always thought that was hilarious. And there is, and it just reminded me of what Tiffany said. She's like, stop feeling and thinking you can't and turn all that into I can. Basically, it's Bob Newhart's stop it. I love it. I love it. So there is like an element of truth to that, right? Like, okay, you feel claustrophobic? Stop it. Just stop it. And I think, like, I don't know how accurate Bob Newhart is on that. Like, I think there is a certain amount of that we start getting in, okay. I sort of feel like there is a point, easier said than done, says Becky. Right, exactly. So I feel like there is, there's an element of truth to it, right? That like sometimes we just start wallowing, right? Or, and sometimes do you have the kind of friend that you go to lunch with them and they just unload on you just constantly? And it could be from things from years ago, not about you necessarily, but about their other friends, about their work, about just everything. You just become their therapist and they're just blahing all over you. And that's what they do. That's like your relationship. Tiffany, okay, so let's see what Tiffany has. Talking problems out with people who have overcome the same thoughts or situations as you is a lot more effective than talking to a therapist. Wow, that's cool. That's really cool of you to say, Tiffany. It's never dealt with what you have. So I do think that, I mean, Tiffany is a wise human. On everything Tiffany has said here, I don't know if Tiffany has like education in therapy but you can tell Tiffany has worked through real issues and is, I think, having real success by figuring out her life and what works for her. And I just keep coming back to the fact, the reason I played that Newhart skit was because her first words were, stop feeling and thinking you can't. Just stop that. And when I first read those words, Tiffany, I'll tell you, I started feeling sorry for myself. Because I'm like, I don't know, Tiffany. I don't think I have it in me today. Didn't you hear? I got on the scale, I weighed 204 pounds, and I just couldn't even, and so I had to go back to bed. But now that I'm talking through with Tiffany, I'm like, come on, Sage. It was just, you ate a lot of salty foods yesterday. Drink a lot of water today. Stay on your diet. Stop feeling like you can't. Just keep going. You're going to lose the weight. Work the plan. Make the plan. Work the plan. And so, like, in a way, like, Tiffany is helping me, like, right now, just, like, she just was like, stop it. She just gave me the Bob Newhart form of therapy. Stop it. Just bam. And I like kind of woke up like I was a little sad. I'm like, well, but Tiffany, I'm sad. But then I'm like, wait, Tiffany has a point. Stop wallowing. Like wallowing becomes a drug. It becomes an unhealthy way of managing your emotions. So like here, I wanted to read this. I hang out, I'm not an opiate user. I'm an alcoholic, drinker, former drinker, whatever you want to call it. My love of my life is drinking. Okay, I'll just say it that way. But I like hanging out at the opiate forum because there's similarities, and I have a lot of friends who have suffering with opiate use, And so I like learning. So anyways, 19 hours ago, this guy wrote, WTF is there to even do? Goddamn, it's hella hard to stay sober while sitting home alone with nothing to do every day, super fatigued and super bored. How do everyday people not use drugs? I'm so lucky to have a house, car, and job, and I could care less about it all. Only thing I look forward to is heroin. Even when quarantine is over, WTF y'all even do for fun? That's actually fun. This guy, this human here, has a valid point. Has a valid point. What do you even do for fun when you're not doing heroin? Because I'm here to tell you, nothing's like your drug. Nothing is like acid, nothing's like DMT, nothing's like ecstasy, nothing's like marijuana, nothing's like alcohol, nothing's like fentanyl. There's nothing like it. Okay? There's nothing like a lot of things. There's nothing like Netflix, there's nothing like gambling, there's nothing like sex, there's nothing like video games. There's nothing like it. And so, Kimberly says, that skit is a perfect example of a cultural attitude of suppressing our feelings. Dang, nice point, Kimberly. It doesn't really work. Feelings need to be validated into actually healing for, okay. I'm so glad you said that, Kimberly, because that's my feeling, is that I feel like until we put our finger on the feeling, we're never going to be able to address the feeling. So I think that's right. So, but I think it's a tightrope, isn't it? Isn't it a tightrope where we're kind of like, okay, I can't ignore my feelings, but then I can't be swallowed by my feelings. Is that true? Would you say that's true? That like, because isn't it easy? And I'm coming at this as a noob, as a person who is very new to trying to understand his feelings. I am trying to understand my feelings as a 48-year-old white man who has never really thought about his feelings. So if you feel like I'm saying something that isn't quite right, please tell me. So, because I'm in a way using Sunday Morning with Sage as a form of therapy for myself. It is definitely true. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like there comes a point, like, so in the Bob Newhart skit, like this human is coming to him and like, look, I can't stay in houses now. I can't be in elevators. I just can't be in anything that's a box. And so there's an element of stop it. You need to wake up. And I do think that, isn't there like an aversion therapy? Like if you're afraid of spiders, oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. My kid, I hope this is okay. When he was young, he was terrified of leaving his parents, and we took him to a therapist. And the therapist is like, this week, I want you to walk to Circle K. Because it's just a few doors down. And he's like, by myself? And she's like, yeah, by yourself. And he was really young. I mean, for him, like, I don't know, 12, 10, I don't remember. I forget what age he was. 10? I don't know. It was a big deal, like, for our whole family. You're like, whoa. You're telling me a kid is going to walk outside by himself down the road to the gas station and buy something? Woo. And he did it. So that's sort of, again, the Bob Newhart theory of therapy. Just do it. Stop thinking about it. Stop complaining and walk your ass to that store. So again, it's a balance, I think, right? like, I think you want to spend a little bit of time asking yourself, well, why am I afraid of this? Or why am I feeling this way? Why? Okay, so like this morning when I went back to bed after weighing 204 pounds, when yesterday I weighed 202.4, literally up 1.6 pounds. That's not even physically possible, by the way. It's just water. But that's what I had to say to myself when I went back to bed. I'm like, look, Sage, you don't lose a pound and a half in a day, and you don't gain a pound and a half in a day, and you were in your calorie limits yesterday. It's water retention, idiot. And then I get in that, and then I make myself feel bad because I'm like, you moron. You don't gain a pound and a half overnight. Don't be stupid. I like to beat myself up. It makes me feel better. I don't know. Form of like soft S&M on my brain, like just beating myself up. So anyway, I gotta overcome that. That's not healthy either. So like, I feel like it's a balancing act. But I feel like it's the question. Our mental health is the question, and then the things become the answer. You can't tell a human being to stop doing drugs, and maybe people that have done drugs can tell me if they feel this way is true or not, until you decide why you want to stop doing drugs and what you're going to do instead of drugs. Okay? As a hardcore drinker, let me tell you why I wanted to drink. I was a binge drinker. I would try to drink as much as I possibly could. As much as I possibly could drink. You know why? Because I was gone. I disappeared. I was on a call with a person this week that wants to offer like drug treatment and mental health treatment to homeless people. And she said something during the call, and she's like, well, you know, you want to quit drinking so you don't die. And instantly it flipped onto my head, and I'm like, that's exactly why I want to drink. Dying is the benefit. I was killing myself. It was like an acceptable way of passive suicide. You don't drink like I drink unless you want to die. Do you understand what I'm saying? Dying is the goal. You don't drink yourself into oblivion unless you're trying to disappear. I mean, I would have never called it that, right? I would have never called it suicide. I was just going on hardcore vacations 4, 5, 6 times a week. Just leaving Earth. That's what I would call it. I'd be like, I am leaving Earth. And so, you know, I wasn't necessarily trying to end it all. But I mean, I wouldn't have been terribly disappointed. I wouldn't have been like, oh, I guess I drank a little too much that night. No, I didn't care. So like, I mean, and it comes back to, what was it Tiffany's point? Yeah, that people that never dealt with what you have. Like, I'm just like, wow, you don't know me. I was thinking, I mean, I know it wasn't for me, but like when she said that, I'm like, ooh. That doesn't resonate with me. I want to quit drinking so I don't die? What? No, that's not. That is not inspiring to me. Okay? Now it might be inspiring to her because if I don't know if she was addicted or not addicted or whatever, but to her that resonated. But our culture is so quick to jump in the attitude of Suck it up, Buttercup. Yeah. Take grieving, for example. People seem to put this time frame of what is acceptable amount of time for grieving. Yes. Somebody just donated. Lenise Prince donated $10 to the charity. Thank you. Not that long ago, a grieving widow was expected to quickly find a new husband to survive. Yes, my great-grandmother had 3 husbands. There was no time for grieving. She had children to feed. My grandma lost her second child right after giving birth. Oof. People actually asked her when she was going to have another before she even had time to grieve. So yes, self-pity is dangerous. However, if a person is actually able to process their feelings in a healthy way, the outcome is far better. Yeah. That's the other thing. So in a way, we do have to be careful with the fact that there is a social norm of suck it up, Buttercup. And that makes your life worse. But then, did you see that whole thing? The new DSM thing? They're talking about this very thing, prolonged grief disorder. So now, like, they're talking about that very one. Thank you, Lenise, for donating. That's wonderful. Thank you. Kimberly. So I'm convinced this is the challenge of our lives. Managing our brain. I truly now believe that our brain is the question. And everything else is the answer. I think. That's where I'm at right now. Hey, Chuck, what's up, man? So, I believe that if we do not answer the question, then everything else, the answer is almost always going to be wrong. I guess there's a possibility where you could stumble upon the answer, Thank you, Lenise. That is so beautiful. Thank you. And I guess, I don't know. I mean, maybe you can just stumble upon it and you're fine. Like, but I can tell you this, for example. So, I go back to Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is this guru guy, and he goes into businesses and he helps salespeople reach their goals. And what we found is that Tony Robbins comes in, does his amazing Tony Robbins stuff, which is impressive, and sales do increase. Sales do get better. But over time, sales go back down to where they were. So then Tony would probably say, well, it's just because they're not applying my techniques anymore. And I think that maybe a more nuanced answer is they applied your techniques for a while, Tony, and then they realized they were not solving the real problem. And the problem with this is that Tony comes in with the answer without defining the question. and the reason, and Tony wants to be a billionaire, okay? That's like, I don't know if he is one yet, but that's like a big goal for Tony, is he wants to be a billionaire, which is fine. It's fine. But you're not going to become a billionaire by dealing with individuals one-on-one, handling their individual questions. You got to write books, and you got to do big seminars. That's how you're going to be a billionaire. And so you're trying to mass produce something that resonates with the most amount of people. And then it becomes like Olive Garden of self-help. Look, I love Olive Garden. But if you think Olive Garden is real Italian food, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? It's Olive Garden. It's Olive Garden mental health self-help. It hits the greatest group of people by dulling it down as low as you possibly can go. Okay? I would never kick Olive Garden off of my plate. Okay? But I'm telling you, it's not real Italian food. It has no spice. It has no flavor. You tasted that salad and those breadsticks? Delicious. But not very tasty in a weird, strange way. Anyways, he's that. Tony Robbins is that. Anybody that's written a book that's sold millions of copies is that. Is the Olive Garden of self-help. Because when it comes right down to it, if you get really into Italian food, we'll just go down this path for a minute. You are going to make a fettuccine Alfredo sauce. You're going to make an Alfredo sauce that you love, but other people, yeah, baby, that breadsticks, I can't even talk about this, Dale. That stuff is good, and then they put the cheese on it. Ugh. And then, if you become a connoisseur or you come from an Italian family, your red sauce is your great grandmother's red sauce. And it's very specific and it's very nuanced. Maybe it has a lot of garlic. Maybe it doesn't have any garlic. Maybe it has this pepper. But it's not going to sell at Olive Garden. Because those people that make trillions of billions of dollars at Olive Garden are not going to eat your great grandma's red sauce. It's too good. It's too nuanced. It's too niche. It's like Cincinnati Chili. Cincinnati Chili is a nuanced restaurant. Not everybody likes Cincinnati Chili. But the people that love Cincinnati Chili, like me, love it. That's what I think mental health has to be. Is your great grandmother's red sauce. It's this very specific thing for you. And it's going to take a lifetime journey. You're going to spend your whole life understanding your brain so that you can then project it into your life. That you understand your mental health, which is just becoming, I think, the word we're going to use for our brain, for understanding our brain, so that we can then go forth in a way that meets our specific life values. Or something like that. But I think it has to come with digging into our brain without falling into the abyss of wallowing. Very delicate act. So what we know is that there are healthy ways and unhealthy ways of dealing with mental health. We know it. Addiction in general is unhealthy. Okay, so I'm talking across the board. Alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, food. And may I say, a lot of times we badmouth drugs. You know, of those, you're like, well, but I can have a glass of wine. Of course you can have a glass of wine if you're not me. I could have a jug of wine. I could have a box of wine. Oh, the box of wine. God, that's good. My box. You get your own box. That's my box. I'm not sharing my box of wine with you. Are you nuts? My box. Anyways, see? I can't have a healthy relationship with alcohol because everything becomes alcohol. Everything. I just become tunnel vision alcohol. Everything is alcohol. And that's not healthy. And it starts to really hurt. Thanks, Dale. It's like the number one reason I stopped drinking Well, I hadn't had my kid yet. I maybe would have changed if I had had my kid. But I quit drinking about a year before Indiana was born. The number one reason was the hangovers. I just couldn't take them anymore. They were just so brutal. I didn't mind having a myopic life of just work and drink. Working and drinking was fine. I didn't have anything else. I just couldn't handle the hangovers anymore. It was just, and then I would sleep all day, sometimes 2 days, trying to overcome my hangovers, and then I would just do it again as soon as I felt healthy enough to do it. It's just so, it just was getting tedious. And then I remember very distinctly the night I quit drinking. I'm like, I remember a line from Thoreau's Walden. He said, "I left the woods for as good a reason as I came." And I said that to myself at 1:30, I guess maybe it was at night, it was now a Thursday morning, Wednesday night, I was drinking, I was out at a bar drinking, and I just remember saying that to myself. I'm like, I know where this is going. I have uncovered all the mysteries of drinking in the last 15 years. I'm an expert. I'm an expert drinker. I get it. I've had all the drinks. I've drunk them all. I've drunk them to as much excess as anybody is physically able to. I've done it. I've done it. I need to leave the woods. So I remember that saying just coming out of my head. I left the woods for as good a reason as I came. And that was it. Bam. That was how I stopped drinking. The pain of the hangovers and the fact that I had done it. I get it. I get alcohol. Okay? And you can never take that away from me. I am as good a drinker as anybody you'll ever meet. Ta-da. I mean, I should be called the doctor of drinking. I mean, literally, I could have a doctorate in drinking. I'm amazing at it. I'm just, to tell you. Too good. I'm too good at drinking. I had to stop. Because I did it. I needed to move on. And I did 16 years ago. Okay? It'll be 17 years in June, I think. So, I decided I had more I wanted to do in life. And I have not been disappointed. I've run 3 marathons. I have, one year, Rocky and I were traveling for business, and we would take our young kid, Indiana, when he was a baby, and we got this national pass to, like, zoos across America. Like, there's a thing where you can go to, like, all the zoos in America, and literally we were working, and we'd take our little baby, and we would go to every zoo. And you know what? I don't need to ever go to another zoo again. It's just like drinking. I've seen them. They're all the same. I mean, some are small, some have rides, some don't have rides. I'm good. And you know what? But you know what? I'll go to a zoo with you. I won't drink with you, but I will go to a zoo with you. You know why? Because I can leave zoos. I'm not addicted to zoos. But I went hard on zoos because I'm that kind of guy. And I'm done with zoos. I don't need to go to a zoo. You want to go to a zoo? I'll go to a zoo. But I can leave a zoo. It's fine. Maybe you can do that with wine. Maybe you wanted to have a glass of wine with somebody, have a glass of wine. Not me. I'll tell you right now, I'm not having no glass of wine with you. I get a Diet Coke. I get some cheese. Well, I can't eat cheese now because I'm on a freaking diet. I can't blah, blah, blah. So, I can pick up, and you know what else I can pick up or drop off? Gambling. Poker. I'll play poker online, and I'll put it down. I'll pick it up, I'll put it down. I'll pick it up, I'll put it down. I play online. Maybe I'll become a poker player when my kid, I don't know, but I'm not the same way when I don't have an addiction to gambling. I just have an addiction to drinking. It's my one and only true love. It's my soulmate. Booze. And I cannot have a relationship with that thing. It's a monster. So you have to decide what is healthy and what is not healthy. And the reason I brought this whole thing up this week was because we were having house meetings in our transitional houses. We have 2 homeless transitional houses, and our community director Ashley Hughes had an idea that this week she wanted people to think about a time during this week where they get down, where they feel down, feel sad or whatever, and then they have to report back on how they decided to try to handle it. And she organized things in 3 categories. The first category, well, I don't think there was an order to them. One category was making something. So she brought a little kit of things to try. So she's like, when I feel down, sometimes I bake. She's like, I like to bake. And I go and I bake some stuff and, it makes me feel better. So that's like creating, I think. And so she gave him a cake mix. And then she's like, another way when I'm feeling down is I like to get together with friends that are positive. And so sometimes when I'm down, I try and hang out with friends. And then the other one, which is the one that's the biggest mystery to me, is then she's like, and then sometimes I try to do things that make me feel good about myself. And I'm like, is there such a thing? Is there such a thing that you can really feel good about myself? And she said, well, as a matter of fact, I like to run and I like to dance. And when I'm done dancing and running, I feel good about myself. And I'm like, whoa, you're blowing my mind up there, girl. So I was really thinking about that. I think the first thing you have to do is you have to decide. And then I'm like, well, you know what I do when I'm sad? I watch Netflix, I go on Reddit, or I sleep. And, of course, because she's awesome, she's like, well, those are fine. Those are fine things. But, is there a possibility that maybe you could find a healthier way to, maybe like something that doesn't just make the feelings disappear like alcohol. That's how I like to, just make them disappear. But actually relieves them and makes you actually go to the other side of happiness. Like you go from feeling down to actually feeling good. And I would say that Netflix does not make me feel good, right? Sleeping is pretty good. It does make me feel good, I think. Reddit, most of the internet does not make me feel good. They're like my binky. So do you know what that is? Did you call it, your little babies call that, the thing you suck on, your binky? Like Reddit and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok are my binky. When I'm feeling down or whatever, I go to them. But they don't really make me feel better. They don't make me feel good about myself. And in fact, a lot of times they make me feel worse about myself. Because then I end up spending 2 hours in this endless vortex of TikTok. And I'm telling you, it'll do that to you. TikTok is a dangerous place. It's a never-ending abyss. So I started thinking about that, and I'm just like, well, yeah. So these are things that make the pain recede, but don't actually make me convert to feeling good. And so that's where I'm at. I'm trying to think about what I can do to feel good. And so making things, being with friends, or what ultimately maybe exercise. I think exercise, right? Ashley tells me if you exercise, sometimes you feel good about yourself. Find it hard to believe. She's a wise human being, so I've exercised and she's right. You do feel good about yourself. So to the question this guy raised, I don't know if a guy or girl, what do you even do that's actually fun besides heroin? So let's see what some people said. So here, this guy says 16 hours ago, your brain is used to feeling extreme pleasure from opiates, so everything else seems boring. If you think about it, we have more to do these days than people ever have. Netflix, endless channels, movies to watch, video games, outdoor activities. There was a point when I thought life was totally bland and getting high was the only thing worth doing. But that's just how addictive thinking goes. Not sure how long you've been doing dope, but when I first started getting high, I really thought heroin was the bee's knees. And then with time, it completely destroyed my life. Now, you couldn't pay me to get high. Give it time and ask people for help. And then this person says, I can back up what's been said just above here. It sounds like he or she's had more clean time than I do, almost a year for me, but it's all good info. I was into pills, a lot of pills, but essentially we were doing the same thing as Oxy. It's just synthetic H. H is heroin. Long story short, it does get better. Your brain will change and normalize. You will enjoy life again. It just takes time. I don't want to discourage you, but I was depressed just like you are now and thinking the exact same way for at least a good 3 months after getting sober. Obviously, I wasn't in acute withdrawals or anything, but just acute withdrawals are a real thing. It gets better, but I promise. Okay, now I'm gonna give some honest talk here. I can't ever promise you you're going to find something as good as the love of your life, which may be heroin or sex or drugs or gambling or whatever, porn. I can't ever promise you that. I can't promise you that you're going to find a healthy thing that's just going to be as great as your addiction. I don't think you ever will. But I can promise you that there are many things that maybe, while are not as intense, are certainly not as destructive and consuming and destroying your relationships and your entire existence. And they are good. They are nice. And they allow you to live a life that is more interesting, more diverse, and ultimately more interesting. Did I say interesting? A more interesting life, I think. Because if you just nosedive, kamikaze, all the way into the dirt on your addiction, I'm telling you, you are not living an interesting life. And that, you maybe don't even think of that at that time, but you are not going to be particularly remembered as somebody that went all in and went, and lived a full life, Not somebody like say Teddy Roosevelt, who obviously I think went the other way and lived the most full life you can imagine. Like, he became president, he was born rich, he he's on those big statues, those big, what is that? Mount Rushmore. He was basically, did he create the metro park or not the national parks? That's the other side. There's a guy that just did everything. And he becomes this icon of, wow, there's a guy, there's a person that really lived a full, interesting life, And when you leave planet Earth, which we all have to do, you can be like, all right, I got a flavor for that. I felt what that was like. And drugs will never do that for you, I like that they validated the poster's feeling as real before offering advice. Yeah, they didn't just tell them to stop complaining and get over their boredom. Right, Kimberly. See, I feel like that's a big problem, is that you get these outsiders who don't understand addiction and just blame you and criticize you. And meanwhile, they're just as much a pieces of shit as you. They're not Teddy Roosevelt. I don't think he liked being called Teddy. They're not Theodore Roosevelt. They're not out there backpacking across America. They're doing the most stupid, boring things of their life. Usually, their whole big claim to fame is just criticizing other people. That's like their big contribution to life, being some sort of personal critic to you. Their life is probably worse when it comes right down to it. They're terrible, terrible people. At least usually when you are an addict, the only person you're typically hurting, mostly, is yourself. But these hate spewing people are just sending evil through the world. Addiction is not something that you just can quit, okay? If you think you can quit addiction, I know it's hard. You'll say somebody that's never been addicted. You don't, shut up. Just shut up. You don't know anything about it. Like, I mean, I want to talk to somebody that was addicted. And when they say, I know it's hard, then they're cool. But if you haven't been, if you haven't like been through addiction, I don't want to hear you say to me, I know it's hard. No, you don't. You don't know a thing about it. You don't know a thing about it. I got the badge, baby. I got the badge. And so, Kimberly's right. Yeah, that person said, your brain is used to feeling that way. Feeling extreme pleasure. Extreme pleasure. So everything else seems so boring. See, that sentence is perfect. Your brain is used to feeling extreme pleasure from opiates, so everything else seems boring. That's the truth. That's the real truth. Are you ever going to find something that is extremely pleasurable as opiates? Not likely. People have said it's better than sex. I've never done it. You know why I've never done it? Because I think I would love it. That's why I've never done it. But the fact of the matter is, this person, not sure how long you've been doing dope, but when I first started getting high, I really thought heroin was the bee's knees. And then with time, it completely destroyed my life. That was it. That's the point at which drugs go bad. It's not that drugs are inherently bad. In my mind, there is no inherently bad drug. There are circumstances where drugs become bad. Okay? I don't know if you can be a casual heroin user. I don't know. I don't know if you can be a casual meth user. I think you can be a casual pothead. I think you can be a casual drinker. I think you can be a casual gambler. You can definitely casually have sex. So, but I don't know about those other drugs because I've never done them, and I have an addictive personality, so I can't comment on that. I don't know. Are there people that just do a little bit of opiates on the weekend without overdosing? I don't know. But I don't see them as bad. I see nothing as inherently bad. But they become bad when they start overtaking your life. And you know it. You know when it happens. No, you don't always. You're like, no, I just like doing this. There's nothing better in my life. But at that point, you have to decide. But there's no point in making a person feel bad. There's no point in being like, dude, you should stop smoking cigarettes. Do you know how many times I heard somebody tell me I should stop smoking cigarettes? I just started hating them so much that I would just start retorting in this sarcastic way. I'm like, what? What? These aren't healthy? These aren't good for me? I shouldn't be smoking cigarettes? No, say it's not so. I would just go on and on and on, usually because I was drunk, and I hated them because why don't you say something a little more obvious? I don't need you to tell me I should quit smoking, Einstein. Jeez, oh Pete, did I hate those people. I hate people that say things like, you should quit drugs, you should quit drinking, you should quit. Yeah, thanks. I didn't know that. Why don't you tell me all the other things I should and shouldn't do? I should eat carrots. I should eat salad. I should exercise. I should get 8 hours of sleep. I should get a job that's meaningful. I should watch more Tony Robbins. I should start practicing Buddhism. Why don't you just spew all the things so I can live the ideal life while you just sit over here as some sort of Monday morning quarterback telling me what a piece of crap I am and forgetting to look at yourself, which is ultimately what this is all about. Looking at yourself, finding your path. I am now of the mindset that the question is in your brain. And until you find the question, you cannot possibly find the answer. I should quit smoking 2 packs a day. What a waste of money. Yeah, right? Exactly. No one needs to tell anybody that they should quit going to McDonald's every day, that they should quit. Cigarettes are my addiction. Yeah, see, it's fine, Marcia. It's fine. So there you go. So Marcia is being brave and coming clean that she smokes cigarettes. We don't need to tell Marcia she has to quit smoking. If and when Marcia quits smoking, it will be fine. Now, let me tell you something. My mom died on the porch downstairs of starvation. That's right. In my house, she died of starvation. That's not what was written on there, but she stopped eating. And she had serious, Alzheimer's type of thing. Why can't I think of that word? Hello? Hi,
now you've done it.
What did I do now?
Do you know where my mom's trowel is that we used under the deck?
Maybe it's under the deck. I'm
not.
still finishing my amazing sage. I'm almost done. I'm wrapping up a very important speech here. Kimberly, I'll find the trowel in a second, honey. Food is Kimberly's addiction. Yeah. And you see, isn't it interesting? Cigarettes are an addiction I wish I never started, but you're right. So, but in my mind, so you got food on Kimberly, you got Rebecca and Marcia. Yeah, Clade, thank you. Thank you for getting back to that. So, she had, this serious, why can't I remember the word? It's not Alzheimer's. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But she lived downstairs from us and basically stopped eating. But you know what she never stopped? Smoking. And I'll tell you what, I am proud of that. Because she always would tell a story on her mom's deathbed. Her mom said, "Hey, can I just have a cigarette?" to my mom. And my mom said to her mom, "Those are bad for you. You can't have a cigarette." And then the next day she died. And my mom always felt bad about that. And so I made a decision that my mom, dementia, thank you. Why couldn't I remember that word? Thank you, Marcia. I made up my mind, cigarettes were not going to be the death of my mom. And so she smoked the whole way through, never burned down the house. She didn't smoke in her bedroom. In fact, we would only keep her cigarettes out on her back porch. Fortunately, the weather was decent, and weed. Yeah. It wasn't, my mom didn't need to quit smoking. It was the thing that made her feel like her. And it didn't destroy her life. Dementia destroyed her life. So we have all these things, and so does food destroy your life? You have to decide. Is food, is your cholesterol going up? Is your weight going up? See, I had to lose 40 pounds. 36 so far. It was 33.4 yesterday. Or whatever. I can't even do the math. Anyways, 37.4 I had. So close. She lived a long life, yeah, well into her 70s. My mom always said, "I'm going to die of something, might as well die happy." She enjoyed smoking, see? So there are no absolutes, right? I think you get to this point of your life being destroyed by the thing, right? So if you're like, well, I don't want to die of heart disease, and I go to the doctor and my doctor is like, look, your heart is getting weak. You have congestive heart failure, which my mom had, in her late 70s. She had congestive heart failure. But that was not what killed her. And you have, It's your journey, man. It's your journey. And no one can tell you that you should do something. Okay? Kimberly says, my grandma lived her last days on cigarettes and watermelon. Yeah, she had quit this smug that lung cancer wasn't what killed her. Yeah. Yeah, and she was quite smug that lung cancer wasn't the thing that killed her like everyone else said it would. Yeah. Literally, my mom was cigarettes and ice cream. I could get her to eat a little ice cream. That was it. That was it. And I don't even know the last day or two she even had the ice cream. But, and not a lot. Like a scoop a day. A scoop a day at most, you know, like at night. She always had dessert when she was, her whole life that I could remember. And so she seemed to want to keep that tradition, that she would have a dessert at night, so she wouldn't eat all day. And this went on for a long time. You don't die fast from starvation, ladies and gentlemen. And may I say, we had hospice here. We were doing everything right. I mean, like, I wasn't starving my mother, okay? I had nurses here. I had people here. They were monitoring things. We always offered her food. We always brought dinner and breakfast. I'm not trying to backpedal that I starved my mother to death. She just stopped eating, I'm telling you. And interestingly, I've heard that in homes for elderly, they oftentimes really force feed them food because they don't want their numbers to go down. And so in a way, I was happy that I was letting my mom finish her life the way I guess her body wanted her to, you know. It just seemed natural. All I can explain to you is that journey for my mom dying seemed natural. And we had pain relievers, and we had, you know, like I said, nurses and everything here. That'll be me. I will eat ice cream till the day I die. See there, Kimberly? And that's awesome. That's awesome. But we all need to decide. It's our decision, okay? It's our decision. There have been really famous people that have killed themselves. Like there's an author that I always liked called David Foster Wallace, and he ended up killing himself. And you know, Hunter S. Thompson though shot himself in the head. That was awesome, right? Because you know it was time. Hunter S. Thompson lived his life. And went outside, had a party, I believe, had a big party, went outside with his shotgun and shot his head off. I mean, could there be a better way for Hunter S. Thompson to go? I think not. I think not. It's Hunter S. Thompson's journey. When and how you decide to go is on your terms. You just want to make sure. My father-in-law likes to say that suicide can be a long-term answer for a short-term problem. You know, they have to be careful. Like young people killing themselves, maybe not great. A middle-aged or older person killing themselves, different. Robin Williams, thank you. So Robin Williams, wow, right? What a profound, smart way to go. And I keep unfolding that story, you know. It is natural. If you watch animals and they're dying, it's like they know. They sort of stop eating. Yeah, it's natural. I had never experienced it, but all I can tell you is it felt right. We brought her food. We loved her. We were with her. We made sure she was clean. We made sure she was comfortable. And then we let her be her. Cigarettes all day, a little bit of ice cream at night. And in fact, I came in one morning and she was dead. And it's not how I have pictures of it. It's spooky. She didn't look like the movies, okay? It looked like the screen. Like, I don't think she was uncomfortable. Anyways, none of it was like the movies. It was like real life. It was a powerful journey that I'm really, really, really glad I got to do. And do for my mom and do for me, and it was good. It was terribly good. The question is your question. The question is inside your head. You got to find the question. And I think sometimes the question resides in your pain, in your suffering. And if you don't understand your pain and suffering, which I think most people don't, you'll never get to the question. Okay? And if you can't get to the question, you're never going to find the right answer. I think that's it. Nothing is like the movies. Yes, I know, right? Yeah. I just watched a real explosion. This guy was videotaping an explosion. He didn't obviously know it was going to explode. And they're on Reddit, and this brick wall just whoosh, just instantly, and then the video went black. And they were talking about, they're like, every explosion you see on movies is all slow motion. And you're like, wow. I mean, that thing, there was no time to react. You couldn't even react as the viewer. You're just like, it's over. That wall exploded into that guy's face and it was done. And bam! Not like, let's duck, no, you're just here. Like, you can't even put down the camera. It's just explosion, boom, done. And, and it's so much you couldn't even hear the sound. The sound didn't even get to the camera before the camera was destroyed. And he was like 100 feet. It was amazing, crazy. Anyways, nothing like the movies. That's where I am at, ladies and gentlemen, is I believe you got to find the question, and I feel like the question resides in our pain and suffering. Life, the Buddhists say, life is suffering. I think there is a message in it. And when we feel the suffering, we have to try to learn from it, because that's the question. Why am I hurting? What is it that makes me feel this way? And if you can get behind the thing and get to the question, then you can answer it. That's what I think. But I'm no expert, ladies and gentlemen. I am not an expert at all. I am just a human being on earth going through the journey, talking to you lovely people. All right, people. I love you. You're amazing. Have a great day. And I hope that you have a nice week. Now I have to just find out how to turn this off. Okay, bye.